Hey everybody, it's the OMAD Dad. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, a channel that's dedicated to living the OMAD lifestyle or eating just one meal a day. I'm back with another What I Eat in a Day video, and this is a newbie edition. So for all of you out there who are brand new to OMAD, who have just started, no matter what time of the year you see this, this one's for you. This one's in January. I figure usually in January with New Year's resolutions, we get a lot more people that want to give different diets and ways of eating a try. So I wanted to do this video because many people who are not used to OMAD come and find this way of eating through other diets that are very rigid about what you have to eat and what you have to not eat, what needs to be eliminated, what needs to be added. So when they get to the structureless structure of OMAD and they hear something like, well, you eat whatever you can make a meal out of, it tends to be pretty confusing and there's not a lot to go on. So I wanted to do this video specifically for the newbies. And these are what you'll see here is items that you can make a meal out of. These are the type of plates that I use and have used to lose my weight and maintain my weight. You're going to see very little, if any, junk food on these plates today. Not that I'm saying you have to completely eliminate it, but when you're in the weight loss phase and you're trying to get that initial weight loss going, there's just a few things that you want to keep in mind. Number one, your meals should consist of good food, anything you can make a meal out of. And I'll give you plenty of examples in here. So you want to try and avoid cookies and cakes and chips and pie and all of that stuff that's junk. Not that you have to give it up forever, but you can't really quite make a meal out of it. And you can have it. It's just going to make your fast that much harder. So why do that to yourself? So stick to things that you can, at least for the initial weight loss phase, stick to things that you can make a meal out of. You also want to focus on having good quality fasts. That's where the power of OMAD comes from, not in what particular foods you eat, but the good, clean fasts that you get. So focus on good, clean fasts, getting plenty of sleep, drinking a lot of water, having your drinks ready. You are allowed to have black tea, black coffee. You don't want to overdo it with those, with the stimulants, but it is there for you. But you want to have a good quality fast. That's what you should be most concerned with. You know, and you also have to remember too that this is just some of the foods that I enjoy eating. Some people, it may be best if they're low fat, high carb, more vegan or vegetarian types. For some people, it might be better for them, and they may be best suited for a high fat, low carb diet. Some people may be carnivore. Some people may be vegan. Some people may be standard American diet. And everything in between, maybe Mediterranean diet ends up working best for you. Eat the foods that you enjoy. Make peace with the fact that we live in an imperfect world. Make peace with the fact that you're going to eat the foods that are around you. But above all else, you have to remember that you can eat what you like, but you are in control. You're going to learn self-mastery with OMAD. And you're going to learn to take charge and take control of your eating. And it will go into other areas of your life. I'm telling you, folks, this is very, very powerful. Okay? So, I'm going to feature a bunch of food today that's geared towards the newbie. Some of these are all on one plate. Some of these are on several plates, just because I don't want certain foods commingling. But no matter what foods you end up choosing, I want you to see how I approach this. I want you to see the approximate size and why. I'm a 5'9" male, and I should be shooting for around 180 pounds. So that's going to give me a certain amount of calories. If you're 6'4" and you weigh 280 pounds and you're looking to get to just 200 pounds, you're going to have different goals. If you're someone who's a female, you're going to have different goals than me. So you need to adjust a little bit accordingly. And I have videos on that as well. But let's get into this and we can talk a little bit more. First up, I have baby back ribs. These are homemade baby back ribs. I dry rub them and marinate them overnight in the dry rub. I use Stubbs barbecue sauce. It's a shout out to Stubbs. You find them in pretty much every grocery store now. It's not even worth making your own barbecue sauce. In my opinion, they're some of the best. I slow roast these in my oven for about 4 hours, and they are just fall off the bone tender. I make this meal probably once every other week or so, because I love, even in the winter, I love ribs. And so pictured with it, you can see a couple of small baked potatoes with some butter and some salt and pepper on them, 1 banana, and all the way in back is a large Starbucks Arnold Palmer. I am allowing myself 1 caloric beverage during the meal. Sometimes it's juice, sometimes it's other things. Sometimes I decide I don't want it and I just want to keep sticking with the water, so that's what I'll do. But remember, stay in control, stay in charge. And I allow myself 1, so I don't want to just keep drinking an excessive amount of calories. Now, what you see here is about 1,723 calories, according to my my food app, Lose It, the food app that I sometimes use to judge how many calories it is. This is a full day's calories for me. Normally what I do is I have a slightly larger meal on days where I'm jogging and running, and a smaller meal on days when I'm not, because on the days where I'm very active and I'm jogging, if I could end up going about an hour on the treadmill and I burn an extra 800 calories, I could definitely use some of the calories in it, so I can afford a little bit more on those days. But I never force feed myself. I never force myself to eat more than I need to. I like to be full, but what they call functionally full. I eat until I'm no longer hungry, as opposed to being stuffed. There's a difference. So yes, this is about a little over 1,700 calories here. It's a nice full day's calorie for me. Okay, next up, it might be a little bit hard to see, so we're going to move the camera on a little bit. This is a fried chicken sandwich. It's been marinated. This is another homemade meal. Marinated in spices and buttermilk. I then deep fried it in some duck fat. Somebody over the holidays gave me a couple of jars of some duck fat, and I've been just dying to try them out. A homemade mixed sesame seed bun. I like to make my own bread, and I'm going to have some more recipes for that coming up later on in this channel. I made some Spanish rice to go with it, and toward the top of the page, kind of hard to see, also added in a couple of bananas and about an 8 or 10 ounce glass of the Honest brand fruit punch juice. I get that because there's no added sugar and it's very little calories. Actually, only about 40 calories for that amount, a little over 40 calories. And it's tasty but not overly sweet. No artificial sweeteners in it, no added sugar, as I've mentioned. So I like to drink that quite a bit. My children like that juice. Whenever they request juice, that's usually something that we give them here. So overall, this was around, I think about 12 or 1,300 calories for this meal. Okay, next up was the other half of the rack of ribs that I made the other day. I went and used that up as a little bit of leftovers. Used up some of the some leftover Spanish rice. Normally what I do is I don't make a large batch of rice but when I do make it, I make enough for a couple of servings so that I could just have a nice, quick, easy side for one of my meals. And you can see above, I had a simple tossed salad with it. I just put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on it and some white balsamic vinegar. I don't even make a formal vinaigrette out of it. But I don't like using the store-bought dressings. They have a lot of the soybean oils and a lot of high fructose corn syrup, and they just don't taste all that great. I love the simplicity of just having a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. I get the California Olive Ranch brand. Just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and a little bit of splash of acidity from the balsamic vinegar. That's all I really need. Didn't feel like having a caloric beverage this day, so I just had water. That also cut down on the calories. All said and done, this was a meal that was about 990 calories right here. Very tasty, very satisfying for me. Left me functionally full. You really don't have to worry too much about the calorie counts. Like the other day I had a meal that was a little high at 1,700 calories, maybe a little higher than some of you are looking to go. And then you have a meal that's like this one over here that's less than 1,000. So it all equals out in the end. Okay, next up, homemade General Tso's chicken over steamed white rice. I love making my own Chinese food. Unfortunately, I don't live in an area that is known for really, really great cuisine. I live in Western Massachusetts. It's kind of a drought over here, and of course, with COVID and the ensuing financial difficulties that has caused, a lot of restaurants around here have closed. So we're left with not the best of choices. However, I love making my own Chinese food. I'm not the best at it, but I know how I like my food to taste. It just comes out tasting a lot fresher. Believe me, I don't do anything extra, healthier or anything different than they would at a Chinese restaurant. But when you're frying, for example, and you're cooking it in, fresh oil, you taste the difference when you're using fresh herbs fresh ginger, fresh garlic, fresh scallions to make your sauce and everything. You notice that pop. You notice the difference in there. And I'm a big proponent, if you're going to have the meal that's a little bit on the junkier side, making it yourself. Because the more junk food that you make yourself from scratch, the less likely you're going to be to have it. Because it's very easy and convenient to go to a store or go to a restaurant and just buy some fast food or, and just eat it, have a couple thousand calories and be done with it. It's a little harder to go out and actually get all the ingredients yourself, make it yourself, clean it. But by doing so, you get to control the portion size. You get to control how much is in there of whatever ingredient you're using. You get to choose the upgrades, in other words. So this was homemade General Tso's chicken. I used chicken thigh. Usually I use chicken breast, but chicken thigh was on sale. Steamed white jasmine rice. I do make in my own opinion, a mean fried rice, but I didn't want to have fried on top of fried, so I just did steamed white jasmine rice to go with this. I had a big gulp here worth of water. I usually get a unsweetened iced tea in the morning. When that's done, I fill my cup with water and sip on it throughout the day. And then off for my drink, I decided to have a glass of red wine. Now, this is not something I recommend for newbies who are in the weight loss phase. Many people have done it before, though, so I will say this. If you're going to have alcohol, have no more than one drink. And you may have to weigh that drink out to know exactly how many calories are in there. Like, for example, in America, whenever they usually say that American men should have no more than 2 drinks per day, but with that figure, they always say that a drink, quote unquote, like for red wine, for example, would be 5 ounces. So I have a food scale. I put the glass on there and I weighed out 5 ounces. Now you take a look at that glass. It's not an extra large wine goblet at all. It's just a regular wine glass. That's barely full. But that is considered one drink. So that's what I stick to. It's just enough to have a little something different. And that little amount right there, you're looking at, I think, about 125 calories just from that. So, that's why I don't recommend having alcohol all of that much. It's, you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of things, Weight loss can be a give or take business. I'm not saying you have to totally give up all of your favorite things in the world. They certainly consume a lot of wine in countries like France and Italy, even here in America. But like I say, if you're going to have something that's indulgent, don't let it control you. You need to control it. You need to set limits, and you need to be in control. So this could very well be a glass of juice. It could very well be some of your favorite soda, whatever you want it to be. Overall, this meal right here, 1,106 calories. Okay, next up, a little bit of a hodgepodge. One thing I like to do regularly, and one thing I like about OMAD is that you get to You could switch it up a little bit. You could use some whatever you find in your pantry and your freezer and your refrigerator. Use up some of the leftover stuff, and put things together that may seem a little unconventional, but are able to make a meal for you. And those that know me on this channel, I like to have my scrambled eggs at least once every week and a half. I like to have because eggs are cheap. They're a very good source of protein and fat, and I get so after about a week and a half, I tend to miss them. So I usually incorporate a meal with eggs. It might be fried, poached, scrambled, omelet. I have them in some form, but so here's a little bit of a hodgepodge meal here. So we have, I think we have about 5 scrambled eggs, 5 pieces of bacon. I've got some whole almonds. I've got some strawberries, and then I have 2 buffalo chicken lean cuisine frozen dinners. These are buffalo chicken with mashed potatoes. Like I say, this is a kind of an oddball meal. I also have a small glass of wine, a 5-ounce glass of wine over there for 125 calories. So overall, this looks like a huge amount of food, right? Well, it's 1,271 calories. Now, these, I don't usually buy these frozen dinners. They were on sale, and sometimes during the week with work, I have a lot going on, and so I just want some components that I can throw together really quickly so that I don't have to fuss over anything. I ended up not liking these, but technically this is a wheat-free, gluten-free meal, and it comes in at 1,271 calories. So this was to think that you're going to be doing OMAD and you're going to be starving. Folks, you can have some if you play it right and you plan it out well. Yeah, you can have a pretty large meal for the amount of calories. Okay, here's another example of a wheat and gluten-free meal. I'm not gluten-free myself, but I tried to give at least a couple of different examples of things you could do to kind of cut down on some of the calories. I love cheeseburgers. This is a double cheeseburger grilled and with a lettuce bun. It's got a little bit of ketchup, barbecue sauce, and some mustard on there. Some French fries. I fried these in canola oil. A little bowl of strawberries and a glass of the Honest brand fruit punch. So overall, this meal this came in at 1,056 calories. I love burgers, and for the most part, I usually just make my own bun to have them because I don't like the taste of store-bought ones. I just prefer homemade. But today I was a little bit lazy and I had the lettuce to use up, so I just decided, well, why not just have it bunless? And it was good for something different. It was nice and light. Okay, newbies, think you have to give up fast food? Well, think again. Here is a meal from Chipotle with a few add-ons. So I had a pork carnitas salad with extra pork carnitas. This came with fajita veggies, lettuce, white rice, cheese. I don't take the Chipotle vinaigrette. I don't particularly care for it, so I just had I just tossed it with a little extra virgin olive oil and white balsamic vinegar. I got myself one side of tortilla chips with some salsa that I had at home. There's another trick too. If you're going to go out to a Mexican restaurant like that, just stick to the one serving of chips. Don't ask for seconds. Don't get larger bags. Don't start eating out of bags. Portion it out ahead of time and stick to it. And then a half a banana and some more strawberries. If you have a sweet tooth, try going a week or so without having any candy or sweets and just getting your sweets from fruit. You'll notice that after a while, you'll start to develop a little bit more of a taste for them, and they'll start to become sweeter and sweeter as the time goes on. You go long enough, and you'll go to have some sweet junk food again later on, and it'll just be overkill for you. You won't be able to. You'll be so used to the sweetness that's coming from the natural sweetness that's coming from fruit, that you're going to actually start to prefer it. So, and there's the glass of red wine there as well. So overall, this was 1,591 calories. Quite a bit going on here. Get a little bit of indulgence with the tortilla chips, some salsa, got some fruit. A very plant-heavy meal here, even though you've got a good amount of pork in the salad. All right, and then next meal, a slow cooker Mississippi pot roast. This is a Mississippi pot roast with some more Spanish rice. This was a rather large portion. This is just one of my favorites because you can get pot roast and get it fairly cheap, and you can really indulge and eat quite a bit of it, and it's quite affordable. I put it in the slow cooker. Now, the way I make it is the same way you would see the recipe for it online. So you put it in the slow cooker, you just add a packet of ranch seasoning, au jus seasoning, 1 stick of butter, and some pepperoncinis, and let that slow cook for about 6 to 8 hours. It gets fork tender. It smells so good. It tastes amazing. I had a nice large portion here with some Spanish rice. I also had a bowl of strawberries, and had a small glass of red wine. I had to finish out the bottle. This meal came in at just under 1,400 calories. Okay, and last up, this was today's meal. This is a hoisin glazed Asian-style meatloaf, homemade, of course, mashed potatoes, another glass of the Honest Brand fruit punch. I had a bowl of grapes with a handful of almonds thrown in, and 2 little squares of the Lindt brand dark chocolate that has a pinch of sea salt in it. That's kind of like my little treat. I love to have just a little bit of chocolate at the end of a meal. Not every day, but once in a while. This was a great meal. I love meatloaf, and the way I make it, there's ginger and garlic and scallions and bell peppers mixed into the meatloaf, along with some carrot and some onions that have been roasted ahead of time so they're nice and tender. I make a big batch of this so I can have this for leftovers a couple of times during the week, and my wife and my children, they like to eat it as well, so I make a large enough batch so we can all have at least a couple meals out of it. And you see there's 2 squares of dark chocolate, not an entire chocolate bar, not a candy bar. This is a little indulgence right here. But what's the theme on that? Well, the theme is I'm in control, and I'm the one that's dictating. I'm not giving up everything that I love, yet I'm doing so in a controlled manner. And I'm still enjoying weight loss, and I'm still being able to maintain that weight loss. So this is going to be it for this video for today. So I hope you guys all you newbies out there got a good idea of what I mean by stick to things that you can make a meal out of. You throw in a little indulgence once in a while is fine. I think maybe sticking to an 80-20 rule where 80% of the time you're eating very clean, very healthy foods, and maybe 20% of the time you're having those little indulgences in a controlled manner. And I think you're going to be in a really great space. As you can see here, wasn't a lot of junk food, wasn't a lot of processed food, mostly homemade. There was a fast food meal in there, but most towns and most areas have different options when it comes to fast food. So I hope this video was helpful for all of you guys who are new, and even for you who are not new to OMAD. I hope this video reached you well, and I hope it inspired you. And of course, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment down below or email me directly, as you can see in the description box for this video. So that's it for me. Have a great day. Have a very happy week, a very happy OMAD, and be well.